Good morning. Why does one's hair always look better in the mirror than it does on Zoom?
I was on a call with a very kind person from the ACLU yesterday, and she's like, Zoom always cuts off my afro. I don't know what to do.
With the virtual background or?
Yeah, with the virtual background. She's like, I want one because I don't want anyone to see my house, but I want people to see my fro instead.
Well, I know. I think I had that one time and I kept cutting off my ponytail. So I just looked like I had this little cap of, like
Your hair grew back pretty fast from when
it's really, so I just read an article like a month or so ago. My hair's always grown fast. And the article said that if your hair grows fast, you're more likely, or actually it's if you have gray hair early, your hair probably grows fast. And I was like, yes, it does. So yeah, it's like you only get so much melanin at birth and you can you run through it or something. That's what the article said. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think they really know, but so yeah, it did. And it does. Yeah. Fix my hair though.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Are you doing okay? I saw it took a while to kind of.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was really great last night. I know the technical stuff, we always have that. So people just have to hang in there, huh?
Yeah, well, and I hadn't realized until kind of belatedly that Joe was in Mission. He wasn't in New Mexico. He used to live in New Mexico. And so we did all the tech runs, but we didn't think to do the live stream part of it. And that's what threw us over the edge.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I don't know where Claude is. He was in Idaho and now I think he's at his daughter's house and she's supposed to help him connect. I was going to try to go there in person, but with the Delta variant spreading like it is, I just don't want to it. So
well, this will be recorded.
Okay.
And then the chatty stuff, what I'll do is it probably won't be on our public for YouTube. It'll just be like, if you have the link, you can see it.
Okay.
So
well, my role is just to help him. I really respect the spaces for the Ochete Shakoan writers. So I'll just probably keep myself in the background unless he calls on me. And we've got a plan. He's going to call me on the phone if there's something that he needs, but I'll just taking notes and trying to help him just keep track of everything.
Is he going to be able to call in then?
He is. Yeah, okay. I just spoke with him a few minutes ago. He was off on the time zone because he's in mountain time. He's like, oh, it's early. I'm like, no, it starts in 10 minutes. So I'll give him those prompts too to try to help make sure he gets on.
That's okay. We run the whole time zone thing, don't we, Sherry? We run the gambit here. So the Oak Lake Field Station is in Central Time. So that's what I put on everything. Because if you're thinking about that,
yeah.
So and we had to pick something. So
Normally I'm in Oklahoma, so normally it is central for me too. So that's easy.
Okay. Well, I think my cat needs to be let out of the room and I'm gonna go grab another cup of coffee. So I'll be right back though. And actually, Sherry, can I just make you host for like a couple minutes and you can let people in?
That's why I'm here.
By the way, I feel a lot better. I don't know if I sound better, but I feel better. So
That's great. I am happy you feel better.
thank you. It
Do
was
you-
kind of a bummer, like plan this thing all year, help with planning it, and then get sick. But in other good news, my husband, he's about to lose his voice, so he called in sick to work and has the baby. So actually, I'm not mad about this cold anymore.
Great.
All right, I'm just gonna switch it over to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning, Nick. Tashi will be right back.
Oh, okay. How are you this morning, Sherry?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Are you
Right,
in,
sure.
where are you based out of?
I'm based out of Massachusetts,
Oh,
Eastern
okay.
time. So there she is. I'm gonna give her back the hosting.
My husband's cat was trapped in the room with me and I need more coffee. So good morning, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. Have you recovered from last night?
Yeah. I don't
You
know if
guys are
there's,
such rock stars, you and Joe. Oh,
I just felt bad because we kept interrupting him, and I know what it's like to be like a speaker and like, you're trying to like finish a thought, and it's just, yeah. So I just hope it, um, I'm glad that there was an edited version. So.
and it did turn out pretty dang well, actually. And all I pretty much had to do was just trim it. And yeah, and there was just that one weird, feedback thing. He emailed me the PowerPoint for the 10 o'clock and said, if he knew what tech gods to make an offering to, he'd do it. So I told myself, well, I think we all just need to smudge our computers. So, so I did. Got up this morning and but yeah, so there's just that one feedback, but why it did it when his computer was muted and his phone just kept doing that thing, I don't know. So that's a new one for me. So, oh well, I'll just keep going. And then this is being recorded, but I'm just going to do like only with the private link so that we can just put it in the portal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just have like just kind of like two activity, or it's like 2.5 activities. Just like introductions and, of course, like who you are, preferred name and pronouns, and then just kind of a conversation about how do we come correct to these spaces, setting expectations and agreements, asking, like, why are we here? What do we hope to accomplish? And then I think I was just going to go maybe collectively. I don't know how many people are going to be here today, but maybe just kind of go over like together as a group what we expect from the space and from the workshops, and like if there's boundaries we want to set or goals we want to set, we can do that. And then the last one was just a quick little writing prompt to kind of get people's wheels turning for today.
Sounds great.
Good morning, Mabel.
Oh, unmute. Good morning.
Good morning. Did you all see that article that came out in CNN this morning? Or it might have been last night. There
Oh,
was that cop who got fired in Rapid City for following a guy he thought was native who was driving a quote really nice Mercedes Benz. And then when the guy got out of the car, the cop saw that he was Asian or something and then backed off, so he wasn't going to stop him. And they reached out to Mayor Steve Allender, which is really funny because he was a former cop in Rapid City Police Department. And he's like, there's no culture of racism that exists. And it's funny because he was actually personally sued by another Native officer for racial discrimination. And you can find, I posted it on my Twitter, but you can find the whole case text of like all the awful things that Steve Allender said while he was like a police officer. He created a club called the Golden Boys, and it was for white officers only. And it actually sent out invitations that said like white officers need only apply. But yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. Like, I can't believe he hasn't been canceled. But then I was like, oh, that's probably why he, he's like, it's like the Janklow effect, It's like the more racist you are, the more likely you are to get elected.
I think that's a thing here. I really do.
Yeah. Somebody put something in the chat. Do we want to wait a couple more minutes to maybe see who?
Yeah, maybe a
Who's
couple
logged on?
more. People might just be going, I mean, because like, oh yeah, here.
How do you all take your coffee while we're waiting?
Yes, I gotta make coffee. I just got here to work, so it's my next business.
Do you put anything special in your coffee? No.
No, I just have a Keurig. So
My grandfather was with us the past couple of days and we're like, we're really sorry, but we use a French press. And he was like, okay, how does this work?
We broke our French press. We had bought a bigger one when my spouse and I got married. And so my mom gave me like her aluminum camper one where it's like the middles that you put the grounds. So it's almost like a cowboy pour over basically. But I keep thinking we're probably drinking a lot of aluminum. Like that's probably not a good thing. And I keep meaning to like buy the glass, but the glass is expensive. So I think I just need to get us a big stainless steel cafe press. So.
Do you put anything special in your coffee, Nick?
Just black. I do. I have to get like one of my friends. He's like a coffee connoisseur guy, and he got me like hooked on these special roasts. It's like my only like splurge thing that I do. So I have nice coffee, but I don't use the French press anymore. So I use really fancy coffee in like a really cheap drip coffee system because I don't know, it's the French press it just tastes different. But I do like the French press for other stuff. So
I think French presses are nice for loose leaf tea. Like once I figured out you could do that. So all the tea that you guys had, I realized later, I was like, should I have sent little tea balls or something? Because I sent loose leaf tea. So. All right.
Are there any like straight up just tea drinkers? I know people like that. People who were colonized by the British tend to drink just tea in the morning.
I used to really like green tea before I started drinking coffee, but
Do we want to wait a little bit, or do we I think
yeah. Actually, can we maybe, Gabby, are you there? Just maybe people say hi who've come in recently. So that's Gabrielle and Claude and Vange. Just so
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm here.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, Vange.
Good morning, Claude.
Good
morning,
morning.
Claude.
Oh, Leonie Washtaylor.
Okay, yeah, Nick, I think why don't you start and like give it a couple seconds because I'll cut all this all out for the video.
All right. Can you grant me screen
I sure can.
sharing?
Okay, you should have it now.
Let me just find, okay. Okay. All right. Can y'all see that? Hey, Nelly.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. I'll just start by saying good morning to everyone. Yani Washtayalo, to the 28th annual Oak Lake Writers Society summer retreat. My name is Nick Estes. I'm just going to be sort of your host this morning for our, we'll call it the hour, our coffee hour. You know, traditionally, we have our physical retreat. We get up every morning, or most of us get up every morning, I should say. And we have a breakfast, a light breakfast. We drink coffee and just kind of visit. And I will say that this year is, you know, a little bit different because we're doing this virtually. So we're going to try to, I guess, experiment with this new forum. So bear with us. But before, you know, I get into that, I just want to say real quickly that Zoom fatigue is a real thing. Sitting at a screen all day long is not good for your health. I don't care what any of the experts say in terms of remote working or virtual working. It's not the same as being in person. A lot of the kind of the culture of Oak Lake Writers Society and the value of it is actually sitting together with relatives and discussing, you know, writing and being in a conducive environment to facilitate writing and exploring ideas and topics and things of that nature. I will say for me personally, my preference is not to sit at a computer all day and to write. And so it's difficult for me to get my juices flowing as a writer and being in these kind of virtual events. So I would encourage you, whenever there's a writing prompt, or if you're feeling a little bit fatigued, just take a step away from the computer, your phone, or whatever it is. Go sit outside. It's a beautiful summer day today here in Albuquerque. You can see out my window, there's hummingbirds. We have a little flowering tree in our front yard. And you know, it's going to be a 90-degree day, which is pretty, you know, it's cool for here for this part of the region. But I also have sunflowers and everything like that in my growing in my front yard. So I can see all these really beautiful things that, you know, kind of ground me in my, you know, in my sense of place and getting comfortable writing. And I'm also not somebody who likes to write on a computer. And so I think, you know, as we go through some of these exercises, we can find different ways and techniques that work for us. Tashi did send out these little green notepads. They're weatherproof. The paper is really nice. I was actually taking notes last night when Joseph Marshall was speaking. So if we're doing an exercise, if we're doing a workshop and you want to just take a step outside, get some fresh air, go walk around the block, go walk around, you know, the road or wherever you're at. If you have the ability to do so, or just to take a break and relax, you know, your eyes, you know, it's good to kind of step away. And I think as writers, you know, we have to tap into all 5 of our senses, which can be a little bit limiting on the virtual format and on the computer. So, you know, we have to, you know, write from the sense of smell, or write from, you know, the sense of hearing or feeling, things of that nature. We live in a world of virtual capitalism where everything, or excuse me, of visual capitalism, where everything is visual, you know, social media, Instagram, those kinds of things. And it has really, you know, taken its toll on how we communicate, often visually versus other kind of formats, and utilizing the other 5 senses that we do have. And some would argue maybe we have more senses than just 5. So I would say that this format is very limiting in that regards, and we're not trying to you know, inhibit people's ability. But if you do need to take a step back, like, feel free to do so. You know, this isn't supposed to be punitive. This is supposed to be for your benefit as writers. So we just try to you know, work with what we have right now, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to sit down as relatives and drink coffee together. But until then, it's virtual. So I think we have a good group of people in here right now to do these. I have a couple short exercises. The first exercise that I have is just introductions. And we can go around and introduce ourselves. I know we have Oak Lake writers here, but we also have Sherry from Indian Collective, who's helping out with tech stuff today on Zoom. So we have writers and guests. So the first kind of exercise I'd like to go over is just introductions. You know, being a good relative. How are we in relation to each other here in this space? So the first question, the first prompt, you don't have to write this down, but we can maybe go around the Zoom to describe who you are, you know, where you're from, but also what is your preferred name and pronouns. And so I guess I'll go first since I'm the one speaking. Hamitaki, my name is Nick Estes. I'm Kulichasha. I'm from the Shwala Tioshpai in Lower Brule. My preferred name is Nick, even though my legal name is Nicholas. I only called Nicholas when I'm in trouble. And my preferred pronouns are he and him. And so for those of you that don't know about preferred pronouns, you know, we're writers, and so we should know what pronouns are. That's how you like to be referred to, whether you like to be gendered or not. You know, just let folks know. What also can be helpful is in your name on Zoom. I'll do it to mine right now. You can write he/him for me, or you can write whatever pronouns that you prefer in your name on Zoom. Oops. By this one. Okay, 1 second. Let me go back to my original slide. Okay. And the reason why we do this is because we want everyone to feel comfortable. And you can't just assume or assign labels to people or identification, whether it's their name or their pronouns, based on how you view them. And this is something that we ran into, an issue we ran into in the past. And it's not to say one was wrong or ill-intentioned, but it's just to kind of set a tone to be in good relations with each other so that we, as individuals, are feeling validated in the collective, and that we're honoring our sort of kinship role or kinship relations with each other correctly. So without further ado, I'll send it over to our guest, Sherry. Maybe you can introduce yourselves and then just pass it on to somebody else who's on the Zoom.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sherry. As Nick said, I'm with MDN Collective, and I'm just here to help with some tech stuff. I use they, them pronouns, and I am Puerto Rican, Taino, and Thai, descendant of the Dai people. And I will pass it on to Mabel.
Hihani washte. Mitakuye iuha chate washte anape chusapi. I'm Mabel, Mabel Picard. I'm Yankton Sioux on my dad's side, and my mom is from Pine Ridge, Oglala Sioux. And I live up in the Sistine Wapiton reservation, and I am principal of the high school, Tioshpazina Tribal School. I've been a member of Oak Lake for a really long time, maybe 10 years, I'm not sure. And I serve on the board, and I don't know, I've been an English teacher for many years before I became principal, and I like to write poetry, and I'm kind of getting into writing short stories right now. So yeah, okay, so glad to be here and good to meet all of you. And I will pass this on. The person under me in the screen is Tokala 2 Elks, so I'll pass it on to you.
Ja. Mitaki tona makota na ke hana awopila chicha na hilani washte. Tokala hochoka wa oke old money in macha. My Lakota name is Tokala Hochoka wa oke old money, and I shake everyone with a good heart. Yeah, it's I don't know where to start. I am now retired, and I have my close associate, friend, relative with me. Her name is Jamie, who's helping me. I have a visual problem now with cataract, and I've been working on this book for a long time, and I look forward to learning more, whatever everyone has to offer. I'm a good listener, and I also am a good talker. So sometimes I'm reminded by my relatives, and especially my daughter. She says, my dad says, in closing, you better get a chair, and you know, it's going to be a little while. So anyway, I appreciate today. Wopala Chichao. Thank you.
Let's just go down the line. I think the next person on my screen is Tashi.
Thank you, Nick. I'm Tashi Nyumpa Barando, and I'm Oglala Lakota. I was born in Pine Ridge, but I live in Brookings on the eastern side of the state. And I use predominantly she, her pronouns, or they, them. And yeah, I just want to welcome everybody, and I'm really glad to see everyone this morning. And let's see, what's next? We have a few people that are coming into the room now too. So I might circle back to Jamie, who's working with Mr. Tuelk.
Sio Ostasunali, Jamie Dakudoa Toiju. Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Jamie Barges. I'm enrolled in the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma. My family, we're generations of cattle people. We've been there since we were some of the first to be forcibly removed to Oklahoma. So our family's been there since before it was Oklahoma. I've never published before in the creative world. I have published quite a bit in peer-reviewed science journals, and I'm finding this is just a really different process. So I'm here because I made a commitment to Jokala that I would support him in getting his book published. So I'm happy to be here as a helper to him in whatever way I can. I also respect that this is a space for the Oceti Sakowin writers. So I'll probably take a back seat today and just listen in and help out in what ways I can. But thank you all. I'm very honored to be here. And then we would pass to who hasn't yet, Tassi? Sarah, maybe? Hi, Sarah.
Morning. Sorry, I just got here. So are we just answering these questions here on the screen? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. So hi, my name is Sarah Hernandez. I'm Sichangu Lakota. I am an assistant professor at the University of New Mexico. I've been a member of the Oak Lake Writers Society since, I believe, 2000, since our 20th anniversary. So that would have been 8 years ago. So I've been a part of the Oak Lake Writers Society for 8 years. Why am I here? You know, I strongly believe in the mission of the Oak Lake Writers Society. I think it's great to have an organization that, you know, really supports Native writers. I've never had that sort of support system before. And it's been really helpful, especially over the past 2 years as I put together my book manuscript. I mean, so many of the Oak Lake writers have stepped up to really help me revise and strengthen that manuscript. So I really appreciate you know, that assistance. And so what do I hope to accomplish while I'm here? Just continue writing. Yeah, I still have a lot of writing left to do on my book. So yeah. And then just to, you know, continue meeting the Oak Lake Writers Society. It's so great to see that we have so many new members joining us today. I really appreciate that. And no, I think we're in a really great position at Oak Lake. We're starting to grow the organization, and it's just really great to see it starting to take off again.
Oh, if you want to pass it off to somebody, Sarah.
Oh, sorry, I just came in. So who hasn't spoken yet? Mabel, have you introduced yourself yet?
Yeah, but Vanj hasn't.
Oh, Vanj, I'll pass it to Vanj.
Really, Mom? Hi, my name is Evangeline Peacock. I'm Mabel's daughter. I'm 13, and I'm going into 8th grade. I go to Tiosh Pazina, the same school that my mom works at, and yeah. Oh, I'm enrolled in the Yankton Sioux tribe, and yeah, and I haven't really written anything, you know, but yeah. But yeah, that's all.
She writes scripts for
Stop. I already said.
Okay. She does a lot of writing. but she's a little embarrassed about it. You have to call on somebody else.
Okay, who hasn't gone yet? Has Gabrielle? Is she gone?
Good morning. I'm Gabrielle Tateushkashka. I live in the community of Enemy Swim, and I'm on the board of the Oak Lake Writers. And I hope to get some feedback on a couple manuscripts that I'm working on. And I always look forward to Oak Lake and the conversations and learning from the other writers. Pidamia.
I think the last person is Chris.
Morning, everybody. Christopher or Chris Bordeaux. I'm a he, him. And I've been with Oak Lake Writers. I went to the first couple retreats when it first started and was part of the group that named Oak Lake and all the history of that place. And I've been doing a lot of writing. I write about things that I grew up knowing. Also wrote a chapter in a book about Indian education that Sandra Fox is putting out, and we're down to the final, whatever they do, edit. And that's been going on for about 2-3 years. I published in articles. I did one for a paper in North Dakota about the pandemic. And I just always, one of the mentors and when I first attended was James Welch. And when I met with him, he didn't really say a lot to me. All he said was, you have to just keep writing. And I thought, geez, because everybody else there was saying, well, he told me I should do this and do this with my writing. And that's all he told me was just keep writing. But I've done a lot of things in there with my job and being part of national organizations. And so since I retired, I thought I better get back to my writing. So, and Oak Lake has done, I talk about Oak Lake whenever I'm somewhere talking about anything. I always bring up Oak Lake Writers, and people are so amazed that, there's actually a group. And I would say, just Google us and you'll find what we're about. And I just want to finally put together a manuscript of all my stories that I've been writing. And they're all about fishing and hunting with a lot of humor, I hope. Thank you. Who else, Nick? Is that it?
I think that might be it. Unless there's somebody I'm missing. My side thing doesn't really show up very well on my screen, so I might have we got everyone.
Thank you for everybody.
Okay. So just for those who maybe came in a little bit late, we're just doing introductions. It's a quick activity for the morning. The next kind of thing that I want to do is answer this second part, which is how do we come correct? And I think collectively we can set some community expectations and agreements for our time here. in Oak Lake. And I just asked two simple questions, why are we here and what do you hope to accomplish? So if anyone wants to kind of maybe chime in about some community agreements in terms of like, it could be anything from like creating sort of agreements, how we interact with each other on Zoom, or in some spaces, for example, when we hold meetings, we have a rule, or not a rule, but a kind of an agreement where it's called, step up or step back. Sometimes if you're not like an expert in a certain situation, or maybe you've been speaking a lot on, taking up a lot of space, maybe it's good to kind of, help somebody else kind of step up and get some feedback or offer some opinions. So if anybody has any kind of, if anyone wants to set a goal that we can collectively agree on, or sort of an expectation of this particular space, I'll just open it up to you all if you have anything to offer. I don't know the best way to do it. You can raise your hand physically if you have your camera on, and I'll try to get to you, or you can, I think there's like a button you can hit, an emoji button that helps you raise your hand, or you can just jump right in. or in you can type in the chat if you want to do it that way. Don't make me do the teacher thing where I call on people.
Nick, I would share just something that I've appreciated from Oak Lake over the years. My first retreat was in 2004. And one of the things I've noticed before I had, I guess, language even to describe it is we don't have groupthink as people are sharing information and history and opinions, but often as they're relating different things, as people would add to the conversation or even like correct one another, it was in a spirit more of like building up like a consensus, I guess, or like people would be really good about adding an and instead of a but sort of thing. And I just always really appreciated that.
Does that kind of capture?
I think so.
Okay.
Not that we haven't had our disagreements over the years, but and we also build each other up.
Okay. I'll put that one as a separate one. Yeah, these are good. I wasn't thinking of like negative sort of rights, but like positive affirmations too. Like, what are the values of being, together as writers? I know, I don't know if maybe Chris wants to add something.
I was going through Joseph's book last night because I read it as soon as I came out. I actually went to a talk when it came out, and I got a signed copy, which I thought was really cool. And one of the chapters that always, or parts of a chapter that always is in my head is, you must help others before you think of yourself. And that's, what I think what Tashi was saying is, that's what I see. I've always seen in Oak Lake writers is everybody thinks it, but when it comes down to what their beliefs are, what their values are, they don't compromise. I remember it was James Welch and Elizabeth were the mentors that year. And that's when Adrian Lewis put out the book Skins. And we got into a big discussion about it. And I had never read Skins. So, but I knew Adrian and knew who he was and had talked with him a few times and knew his lifestyle and knew a lot about Pine Ridge and what he was writing about. And there was quite a few that didn't like what he was saying. And so I spent the next night reading his book. And then the next day I talked about what he wrote about and how it was, that really was life, where he was and his lifestyle. And, but about having disagreements, I thought that was really a good discussion that we had at the time. And, but I, always try to make sure the Oak Lake Riders has a place at the LNI. Always make, get that room secured so they'll have it, and so people will come and know what it's about, because as long as we've been around, we need to get out there more. And I'm not sure how to do that, because it's we are a lot of times we're our worst enemies and in trying to get things done. So just every chance I get, I talk about Oak Lake Riders and what they're doing, and what they're about. So that's what I have so far.
This is Gabby. And I think one of the important things is that, we're now seeing generations that weren't able to participate because of the harms of colonization in that early transmission of culture. And so I think it's really important for our writing that we document what it is to live in a society that has harmed us. And I think that is part of the reason Oak Lake Writers isn't as well known as it should be, because American society wants to be blind to, the racialized culture it has. And in order for us to affirm who we are, part of it is acknowledging that violent racism that continues today. Even though, like with the George Floyd, movement is larger than the missing Indigenous peoples movement. And so I think we're constantly trying to bring our harms to the forefront that we want to heal and find resolution from. And I think as writers, I think many of us have taken on that challenge, and it's real difficult. That's all I want to say. And then that we support each other in trying to flesh out those difficulties.
Do any of the other writers who maybe have experience with the retreats in the past want to add anything? If not, we can maybe ask Grandpa Claude or Evangeline to maybe add anything that they want to sort of be to keep in mind as we go through this process. Okay. I think these are good places to start. And maybe tomorrow, Tashi, we can return to this because we'll get to know each other more. We'll get to see where there's alignment and where, you know, there's differences. Difference isn't bad, you know, disagreement doesn't always mean conflict or harm. And I do really appreciate, I think Chris, Tashi had brought this up, that we operate in a spirit of consensus, that we do respect differing viewpoints. I think the diversity of views actually adds complexity and nuance to stories and doesn't, you know, doesn't always just mean harm or conflict. Build each other up. I like the quote that Chris shared with us, you must help others before you think of yourself. And also to help promote the work of Oak Lake Writers Society more. I think that's a good kind of idea to keep in mind as we move forward. You know, we're in a transition, a sort of transitional phase where, you know, we're kind of moving towards a nonprofit status, but also still trying to do the work of writing. So I know there's been several projects that people have proposed in the past, publishing projects. That'd be good to maybe discuss, you know, as the weekend unfolds. And I also appreciate what Gabby shared as well. Document what it is to live in a society that has harmed us. Acknowledge that violent racism that exists today to affirm who we are. It's you know, it's basically turning those negatives into positives, right? And creating sort of a space this weekend to support each other when we're trying to flesh out these difficult concepts and these difficult experiences, you know, but also recognizing that not everyone writes from that place. A lot of us do, but not everyone does. So is there anything else that people want to add? Claude, did you want to add something?
Okay. I have to call my daughter now and then to find where the button is, so I had a little problem getting on the air here. But one of the concerns that I have at my current age and my awareness of being, how would I say this, gifted by having grown up in a Wolakota home that has spiritual values, and seeing the transition of going from that way of life to the Washichu or the non-Indians lifestyle, and to be competitive, and that in their struggle with academics, and then same time protecting or valuing your I call it medicines that that you were exposed to in early lifetime or as far back as you can remember, and even prior. And how important the Lakota language is to our people that grew up like that. That my younger generations, my nephews, my nieces, my children, my grandchildren, and now looking at great grandchildren, how important that this way of life that I call medicine had good outcomes, and how we can share that. How can we share that without having somebody turn us off? I have so many younger relatives that would get up and leave when it comes to situations of love. And it's hard for them to understand that concept because of the home. A lot of our young people grow up in very violent homes that there's a lot of tears, a lot of emotions that they struggle with, and anger. And so for them to sit and listen, how do you track that attention for them to understand and learn how to use this teaching to smooth out the waves in your life, like being on the water with rough water, and stay on course. So I found that, and today I look at it as controlled environments and then uncontrolled environments. And I found that a lot of our young people working in the JDC on the Rosebud. Oh, by the way, I'm C. Chongo. I live in Two Strike on the Rosebud. And I heard another relative talking earlier, Chris. I've met him in certain situations too, and I'm glad that he's on with the Oak Lake. I wasn't aware of this society until lately, so I'm glad to be part of this. But that's the struggle that I see today with and even identity of who you are. And there's a lot of good medicine that I carry that I want the rest of the world to know. How can one individual find balance and harmony and succeed in both worlds? I also run a Sundance. I've been involved in Sundance now, dancing and running them now for 35 years now. So I'm glad to be part of my Teoshpaye, the Moose Camp Hardships family from Wombly, and growing up with ceremony, daily ceremony, as long as I could remember. My first 9 years of life was involved with ceremony and how things were conducted, and being in my first sweat, sitting on my dad's lap. And when I struggled to tell my dad that it was getting hot, I want to go outside and get some air, he told me to sit still and listen to grandpa, listen to uncle. You know, they have very important medicines to tell you how to how you're going to conform towards the future. Pay attention and respect them. Ma'oholayo. So I'm glad I grew up with my language first to understand the concept of a lot of young people today and the struggles that we have with our identity of who we are and what needs to, what do we need to grasp onto to survive as being who we are as a Lakota or Dakota or Nakota or other tribes that try to sustain and hang on to their language and their culture. So that's what I see. I feel very blessed to have that teaching from my dad's side. I come from the Tehe Woptula Antiochbai, and being participant also inside the Hochoka as a Chunupa Yuha Oshike. I pray with our Chunupa daily. I've been exposed to Christianity. My mom wanted me to be an Episcopal priest, but I went to a school to point me in that direction of becoming an Episcopal priest, and I never changed who I was inside. My first 9 years of life was totally Chonupa, Wichocha. So I hung on to that. I never changed it. And I'm glad I didn't. I feel that 1972, after I finished high school at Todd County High School, I gave up that way of life as a Christian and became who I am today. And I feel very happy and very positive about my daughter, my son, how I raised them, and hoping they'll become more involved with our struggle with who we are. Because when I moved back, I was working for the government and making big money, and leaving that to come home because of the dreams that I had interpreted by our medicine people, our medicine relatives, my uncles, my grandpas. And basically the message was, the interpretation was to come home back to Rosebud and help our young people, help our families. So it was a hard move for me to catch the remnants of what our families are trying to hang on to. There's so much anger in our world, so much anger that the young people are lost. They're finding direction. They want to find direction. They want something to hang on to, but there's a lot of elders that they don't feel comfortable with. And that's about the same as what I went through. And let me know if I'm talking too long, because I like to talk. I think I'll just put pause on here and get some reaction here. So thank you for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing.
This is Gabby. I want to say one more thing, is that a lot of us as writers deal with these difficult subjects, but the other thing I think that Oak Writers provides is support that's a happy place to be too, and the use of Dakota humor in helping us to deal with some of these issues.
Yep.
So we have less than 5 minutes left. I don't think we're going to be able to get to these prompts today. Maybe Tashi can do them tomorrow, but you can read them, or I'll read them every morning. Well, not every morning, but in the past, we've at Oak Lake at the physical retreat, sometimes we do writing prompts and just share. Me personally, I buy these. Let me find one. I have one sitting around. These cheap composition notebooks. They're like 99 cents at the dollar store. And this is what I use to write and to keep notes in. And sometimes when I'm sort of at a writer's block, I sit down and handwrite for about 10 minutes about, whatever's on my mind. Usually I read a news story that prompts something. I'm not a fiction writer. I'm very much like journalism and history and sort of empirical stuff. But there are stories within those that I think are incredibly important. But these are just some, writing prompts. I'll read them aloud for those of you who may not be able to see the screen. The first one is, I like this one. I was thinking of actually Chris's stories when I wrote this prompt. Describe a memorable childhood event you experienced, but from the perspective of someone else who was there. So it's kind of a little bit creative, thinking about other people's perspectives of something that you may have experienced. But then also I was thinking a lot about this last year and the pandemic. How has the pandemic challenged you? And what do you hope to accomplish this year? Not just with writing, but in general. What have you learned about friendships and family this year? I think a lot of us have learned maybe we've kind of drifted apart from certain people, certain relationships, and in some instances we kind of drift closer and closer and more create stronger bonds with others. A funny one is, what is your most embarrassing Zoom mishap? I think we saw a lot of those online with the cat, the court one with the cat guy, the guy who had the cat face. That was really funny. And the lawyer was like, I'm not a cat. Another one is, what are you grateful for? And the final one is, what did the pandemic make you miss most? These are just prompts. You don't, I guess we're ending in a minute, but if you want to take that break time to maybe sit down and, just write these out, and maybe later on we can share them. Maybe we can share them tomorrow if folks are up to sharing. But right now we're going to take a break, a 15-minute break, to get back into the portal, to get back into the next meeting, which is Decolonizing Our Stories with Joseph Marshall III. You'll have to click on the link in the Oak Lake Writers Society portal on the webpage. And yeah, Tashi, do you want to add anything to that, or?
Yeah, I don't think so. So this will close and you'll just go back to the website and click on the link for Decolonizing Our Stories. And that'll be at 10:15. And Nick, if you get me this, I could put that writing prompt in the portal as well. We have a little resource area.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions quick? It's 10 o'clock now. Okay, Joseph Marshall is actually clicking in right now, so let's tell him what's up and then we can all take a break.
Okay, sounds good. See you all in a couple minutes.
Good morning, Joe. We're just ending this session. So if you go back to the portal, or actually I will send you the Zoom link, but in the portal page, it says under the Decolonizing Our Stories, that's the one you'll want to click into for the next session at 10:15. And I will send you that email now. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.